This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Mel.
And together we host the podcast
Spoil My Movie. We were watching movies anyway.
And we were having in-depth conversations about those movies too.
So, we decided to share our thoughts with the world.
You can expect me to gripe about inaccurate details like supposedly cold weather, but you can't see anyone's breath.
And you can expect me to be totally adorable, but also psychologically deep.
And by the end of each episode, we'll provide our respective ratings.
Using a rating scale custom tailored to the movie in question.
Check us out wherever you get your podcasts.
We're everywhere. We're actually behind you right now.
Hi, I'm Chris.
And I'm Deb.
And we host a pretty fun podcast called Today We Laughed and Learned. You know, this is where we discuss all the things we should have learned, but, well, never did. And we have quite a few laughs along the way.
Today we laughed and learned with Chris and Deb.
We're curious about everything. Experts on nothing.
Come find us wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey everybody, welcome to Films and Fermentation. That's right, we are back after a little Thanksgiving break. We took a couple of weeks off.
Still suffering from the tryptophan.
Yeah, we're all still suffering from the tryptophan. Yeah, even though it's been a week now. It's episode 130. We are back. We had a couple mini episodes that I released over the last few weeks. So if you haven't checked those out, you should give them a try and check out our previous episode, which was all about movie drill sergeants. That was episode 129. But this is episode 130. It is our first episode as a part of the Deluxe Edition Network, The Den. So I'd like to thank them for inviting us to join their network and for all the promoting that they've done over the last couple of weeks, introducing us to the network and introducing us to their followers and, just giving us all the play that they've been giving us these last couple of weeks. So we look forward to our collaboration with them.
I feel classy now.
Before I get to the topic of this episode, let me just say this.
Pinky
That's right. We are Films and Fermentation, a movie and alcohol podcast. I'm Leo.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Mike.
We're three friends who like to talk shit about movies while getting shit-faced. And there's something special about this episode here. We are recording it on Thursday, November 30th, but it will be released.
Oh, sorry.
No, I
It'll
have
be-
pants.
It'll be
Damn
released.
it, Mike, you blew it.
Can I get to this?
See?
It's a really special
See?
thing. I don't want to see your crotch, dude. You're ruining the moment, Michael.
Junk shot.
Your mule is ruining the moment. The moment is this. The episode is being released on Tuesday, December 5th,
Yes.
which is the anniversary of our very first episode. So it will be 3 years since we started this podcast, the day that we released this episode.
Wow.
So I wanted to say that quickly, but Mike beat me to it with a scratch shot. So
Oh, Kevin started with talking about no pants. Okay.
Look, man, just because you don't read the memos where it's no pants podcast day.
It's actually Thursday is actually shout out your favorite podcast day. but whatever. To the guys at Deluxe Edition Network.
Whatever.
To the guys at Deluxe Edition Network, if you decide to kick us off after this episode, I'll understand. But yes, we are.
Kevin fucked it up for us again.
We are doing our premiere episode with the Deluxe Edition Network, episode 130, which I have titled "Surprise Hits" or "How much did that movie make?"
What?
What? In this episode, we take a look at some movies that, for better or worse, were surprise box office hits upon their release. This is why we're asking the question, how much did that movie make? Don't forget, you can drop us an email at filmsandfermentation@gmail.com or visit linktree.com/filmsandfermentation to find all of our social media and podcast links. Become part of the Films and Fermentation family by supporting us on Patreon or buying our merchandise at teespring.com. Remember, we are now a part of the Deluxe Edition Network. You can visit the Deluxe Edition Network at thedeluxeeditionnetwork.com. They are the Den. You can see some of the other podcasts that are on that network, and you'll be hearing some advertisements for those podcasts during our show. I also like to give a shout out to Podcast Overlord on what I still refuse to call X.com, Twitter. Podcast Overlord is a podcast promotion account, and they named us today their podcast of the day today. So throughout the day, they have been reposting some of our older Twitter messages to help us gain some more audience. So shout out to the Podcast Overlords.
Yay!
Gentlemen, it's been a while since I've asked this question, but what are we drinking this evening?
Ooh! You go first.
You go first? I'll go first. I decided I wanted to try something different tonight, something I haven't had before. My wife was drinking this when we were eating dinner, and I was like, that looks interesting. I'm going to give this a shot. It's Stewart's Spiked Soda. It is Stewart's Spiked Black Cherry Soda.
That wasn't bad.
It's not bad if you like drinks that taste like Robitussin. It's 5.5% alcohol by volume. I mean, I'm more of a Frank's guy than a Stewart's, but it's not bad.
Now, I'll go next. So, since you want something new, I'm going to go with something old. Old Smokies, Tennessee Moonshine, Blackberry Lemonade.
Nice.
9% alcohol by volume.
Oldie but goodie. So
Yeah.
if I'm doing
guys
new and you're doing old, and Kevin has to do something blue, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, neither one of these are blue, but you two both had sweet sounding brews, correct? They were a little sweeter. So my first one is not sweet. It is actually quite burly. This is the Burly Beard Oatmeal Stout from Northway Brewing Company. My brother and sister-in-law picked this up for me on their trip up to what's it, Cooperstown, where the Baseball Hall of Fame is in New York.
That would be Cooperstown, yeah.
Yeah, Cooperstown. This is a full-bodied stout with hints of chocolate and roasted coffee. Keeps you warm by a roaring fire. It is also 6.5% alcohol by volume. So this is my meal.
What many people don't know is that you modeled for the character on the front of the can.
I did. I mean, look, if you just look away my eyes, nose, mouth, and everything else, it looks just like me.
I've seen you wear that shirt.
I have. It's a go-to. And then as something sweet to finish everything off, we go with Southern Tier.
Frosted sugar
cookies.
I remember that. That's a good beer.
This is an 8.6% alcohol by volume beer. It's an imperial ale. And as you can guess, it may taste a little sweet.
Whoa,
So speaking of
the strongest thing tonight.
Wow. Speaking of Southern Tier, I made a beer bread with the caramel pumpkin spice Southern Tier beer.
How'd that turn out?
I made it for the Thanksgiving meal I have with Katie's family this weekend, and nobody ate it. And
What?
I was disappointed. So I've been eating it all week.
So how did it taste?
It is amazing.
Yeah?
It's really good. So I think next time we get together, I think I have one bottle left, so I might have to make a beer bread next time we get together.
I
like
couldn't
D&D or
find it
something.
anymore. After Halloween, I went back just for a couple more pumpkin, and they were gone. They were all pushing the holiday stuff. Christmas
I
stuff.
think I have one bottle left, so I'm going to try to save it. So next time we get together, I can beer bread it for us.
Okay.
Mike, anything special happen this week?
this day, or this week in film history. It used to be this.
Mike's a little rusty.
This year in film history.
Well, the first one's Lee's. I'm going to let him go ahead and do that one.
Yes, the first one is a recent piece of history. Dave Filoni has been named the CCO of the upcoming Star Wars projects for Disney Plus, film and TV, essentially taking over the reins from Kathleen Kennedy. About time.
Yeah.
She is still the president of the Lucasfilms distribution for Disney Plus, but he is taking over all creative content. So everything from the movies to the TV shows are now Dave Filoni's realm.
Which is good. I didn't have a problem with Kathleen Kennedy as much, but it's definitely better in his hands. And he's definitely running the Star Wars Disney Plus series better than Marvel's been handling their situations.
Although I thought Loki season 2 was okay.
Loki season 2 was okay, and that was a breath of fresh air compared to the stuff, the dribble that had come out before it.
Yeah, and I haven't heard much nice things said about the Marvels so far.
No,
the latest film iteration.
I haven't heard bad things, but I haven't heard good things. I just haven't heard things.
Yeah. So, Mike, what else we got going on here?
In 1964, filming started for Star Trek's pilot, The Cage. Cast included Jeffrey Hunter, Susan Oliver, Leonard Nimoy, and Major Barrett. Although it never airs, some of the footage is reused in the Menagerie episode of the series, which would be the only two-parter of the original series.
Mm-hmm. And so it's all the Captain Pike stuff from the original series.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and didn't I think it was Major Barrett supposed to be like his number like one or something?
His number 2 or number
his
1.
Number 2. His number 1.
Who does number 2 work for?
She was number 1, which is played by Rebecca Romijn now.
Mm-hmm. And what's next?
1977 American animated musical television special created by Raskin and Bass, The Hobbit aired.
Bilbo
Baggins.
Bilbo.
No, that wasn't in that. That was not in that. No, it was
Bilbo. Speaking of Leonard Nimoy. And what's the last one you got there for us, Mike?
And 2013, Frozen, the highest-grossing animated film of all time, starring
the massively talented.
Come on, John Travolta. John Travolta.
Menzel. And Kristen Bell.
Idina Menzel, yeah.
Idina Menzel.
Way
to go, Travolta. Way to go.
The massively talented. What do you call her? Adele Menzine or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, Travolta. You have any must-try beer or craft destinations for us tonight, Mike?
A must-try beer. It's Zonker Stout from Snake River Brewing, Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Export style stout is a sweeter style and usually strong. Through this one is a mere 6% alcohol by volume. Rich, smoky coca, espresso, and caramel rise from this black as night ale, but it's not as dry as it smells. You definitely get the coffee flavors, like a shot of espresso with a brownie, but the flavors are coupled with sweetness and a chunky, silky texture. There you go.
I like to see what Glip does with the word Jackson Hole. Speaking of that, it's time for our synopsis according to Glip. Our synopsis, according to Glip, is brought to you by Newsly.me. Newsly.me is an all-in-one audio super app for iOS and Android that reads the news to you in a natural human voice. Stop scrolling. Start listening. Go to Newsly.me today and use the promo code ANFERMENT to get your first month premium subscription for free. For those of you new to the show, especially any of our new friends from the
from the
Deluxe Edition Network, Glip is the program that we use to record our episodes, and it gives us a fun little synopsis with each episode that we record. I go through the synopsis and I parcel out some of my favorite parts Sometimes it gets it on the nose. Sometimes it's off the wall. But usually it's always entertaining. So this is our Glip synopsis.
Glip is drunker than any of us are ever.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
That's for damn sure.
So our last episode, 129, as I said, was our salute to movie drill sergeants, which was titled "Listen Up, Maggots." I told you guys we got a shout out from Sergeant Slaughter on Twitter for that episode.
Yes, you did.
Which I thought was amazing. So this is the Glip synopsis of the previous episode about drill sergeants. Mike discussed the craft destination. Kevman is planning a dad joke. Leo is trying to explain the episode, but Kevman can't remember anything. Kevman and Mike are discussing the synopsis and telling listeners not to start with the first episode of Films of Fermentation. Leo is talking about the famous drill sergeants in history of cinema, the actor who played the drill sergeants. Leo tells the guys that they are pieces of amphibian shit. I actually have the explanation for that one. Don't worry. Mike didn't know that they could stack shit that high. Leo loves Starship Troopers and Clancy Brown because they were also in Shawshank Redemption. And Kevman is looking for Jesus and Lieutenant Dan.
Still haven't found them yet.
Yeah, so to break it down, Mike always talks about a beer craft destination in every episode, so that's what that one is.
That's true.
Kev likes to throw little dad jokes out every now and then.
Oh, I got one for you.
But
He doesn't ask the phone.
No, you're good.
I was explaining what the episode was about. The Kevman can't remember anything was from the previous clip. Kevman didn't remember some of the stuff we were talking about. We always do synopses. We always do, we tell people if you're going to start listening to the show from early on, we recommend you don't start with the early episodes of our first season.
Start at 10.
Actually, I want to talk about our first season a little later on. So Leo is talking about the famous drill sergeants. That's what the episode was about. I didn't call you guys pieces of amphibian shit. That was one of the quotes from one of the movies that we were discussing.
Sure you didn't.
Mike didn't know he could stack shit that high was his favorite quote from Full Metal Jacket. I do love Starship Troopers, and I do love Clancy Brown because he was in Shawshank Redemption.
Whereas I love Clancy Brown because he was in SpongeBob.
Yes, and Kevman wasn't actually looking for Jesus or Lieutenant Dan. He was quoting a quote from Forrest Gump about Lieutenant Dan.
Okay, and then if you guys are going to say your love for Clancy Brown, then I'm going to love him because he was in Highlander.
He was in Highlander. Kurgan. So that was our synopsis. According to Lit.
What do you call a masturbating chicken?
What?
Jerk.
I get it, jerk chicken.
What do you call a masturbating cow?
What?
Jerk.
Beef stroganoff.
Oh, God.
We are going to get kicked off the network before we even start.
I said, if they want to kick us off, I fully understand. Here are some notes from the previous show as well. I had made a comment about how a lot of the stuff that Louis Gossett Jr. says in Officer and a Gentleman sounds very similar to the stuff that Arlie Ermy says in Full Metal Jacket. And it was after the episode that I learned that Arlie Ermy was the consultant on An Officer and a Gentleman, which kind of explains a lot of that.
Sense.
Yes. I also have one more honorable mention for non-drill sergeant category that we had on that episode. Lieutenant Dan was part of the non-drill sergeant category. I'd also like to talk about Lee Marvin as Major John Reisman in The Dirty Dozen, one of my favorite movies of all time, and one of my favorite Lee Marvin performances. And I have a recommendation, especially for Kevin here, because I know he's a big Fincher guy. The Killer, starring Michael Fassbender, is now on Netflix. I watched it, and it was really good.
Yeah? It's a movie, right? Not a series.
It's a movie. It's a very David Fincher movie. Very, gritty. Has some like funny moments in it too. Like all his movies have these hit you out of nowhere funny moments.
Yeah.
It's only an hour and 58 minutes long, which was refreshing. I didn't know you can make a movie under 3 hours anymore. Michael Fassbender is really good in it. Tilda Swinton makes a cameo in it. She's amazing as always. There's some other pretty cool cameos in it. It's a really, really good movie.
Okay.
It has some like interesting moments. Like he's a hitman, and he always has this like constant inner monologue that's running throughout the film. So you're always hearing what he's thinking. And you come to realize throughout the movie that even though he's kind of good at what he does, he's still kind of inept. Like he thinks he's better than he kind of is. So there's like a scene where he shoots a guy in the chest with a nail gun. And you hear his inner monologue, which is, so he has 6 minutes to live. He's a non-smoker. He's so many years old. He has this much breath left in the system. I should be able to get the information out of him in the meantime. But as he's like thinking this stuff, the guy dies and he goes, fuck. And it's like, you're not as good as you think you are you, bud? And it's based on a graphic novel that was published in France back in the 90s. I might have to check it out. It sounds pretty cool.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's The Killer, David Fincher. He has his previous film, Mank, is still available on Netflix as well. I need to check that out. I haven't watched it yet. But yeah, it's a cool film. So I wanted to talk about the 50th episode we ever recorded, which was in season 1, was our Mount Rushmore episode, where we picked out our Mount Rushmore of actors, actresses, and directors. And I remember Fincher was on your Mount Rushmore, Kev.
It was. Yeah,
and
he was.
I'm kind of thinking like we might have to revisit the Mount Rushmore because I think I might need to update some of my choices because I feel like Fincher is creeping up to the Mount Rushmore of directors for me, especially after I rewatched Zodiac recently. I watched Seven for like the 800th time.
Yep.
I rewatched Gone Girl and Dragon Tattoo. So it's like I've been kind of like working my way through a lot of his films again.
He was also Fight Club, wasn't he? I'm pretty sure
he did Fight Club.
Yep.
The Game, Seven, Panic Room, Benjamin Button, Mank, The Killer. I mean, all of his movies. He did The Social Network. I mean, his movies are masterpieces. Yeah. So I want to try to. I'm thinking we need to revisit Mount Rushmore at some point again down the line.
May I put out a recommendation for you, gentlemen? Something I recommended to my father. He started watching it. He's really digging it. It's called Bodies. It's a Netflix original. It's a limited series. It's only 8 episodes, which is convenient or interesting because it's based on a 8-issue miniseries done by Vertigo and DC Comics back in 2015. And it's a detective story that takes place. It's like the same crime that happens at 4 different periods in time: 1891, 1941, 2023, and 2053.
Oh, wow.
You know, yeah, it's very interesting. And it's, you know, the victim is at the same place with the same, you know,
same like MO and everything,
same cause of death and everything. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And as watching it, you see how they're all linked together. It's very, very cool.
I might have to check that out. Sounds really interesting. I got one more recommendation for you then too on Amazon Prime. It's actually in its 4th season, but I just recently started watching it. It's Creep Show. So Creep Show,
the old school Creep Show?
Like Creep Show was a movie in the 80s. There was actually 2. It was Creep Show 1, Creep Show 2, which was an anthology film. So it was a bunch of little vignettes that made the whole movie up. This is a series, Creep Show, based, you know, similar to the movies. It's an anthology series. Each episode's an hour long, but it's 2 half-hour stories on each episode.
Okay.
And it's produced and directed by Greg Nicotero, who worked on The Walking Dead.
Okay.
And I watched a few episodes recently, and it's been pretty entertaining so far. So that's a recommendation as well. That's on Amazon Prime.
I will check that out.
Yeah. So anyway, we're going to take a short break and hear some promos from some of our podcast friends, and we'll be back with our main segment, Surprise Hit Films, a.k.a. How much did that movie make?
What's up, everybody? I'm Matt, the host of the Beard Laws Podcast, a podcast that has nothing to do with beards. A podcast where we aim to entertain and interact with our live viewers, but our listeners, they're like the quiet person that never talks sitting around the bonfire because the rest of the group is so entertaining, hilarious, wild, and a little bit dumb. So grab a drink, grab a snack, and let Beard Laws and the boys, Toby, Brandon, Logan, Zach, Richie, and our occasional special guest entertain you. We're live on the Beard Laws YouTube Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and for whatever reason you want to see us and or our beards, check us out, thebeardlawspodcast.com. We're everywhere.
This is Take on the World with Johnny and Mike And, people always ask me, hey, you got a podcast? What's it about?
I don't know. You ever want to cut your fingers off or learn about a sharp knife?
We could tell you that.
How about murder mysteries or hauntings or any kind of fringe subject?
Anything you could think of. We take on everything because we take on the world.
Now you go take on the world.
All righty. Hey, everybody, we're back. Thank you for sticking with us after that short break. We're going on to our main segment here. Tonight's main segment is Surprise Hits. That is movies that weren't supposed to make money, but then made more money than, well more money than was expected. This whole category tonight is in honor of a movie that is actually on the list somewhere that made me think of this. And what I did was, in researching this, there were a lot of movies that fell into this category, more than I was aware of. And I figured this is something that could be a recurring segment down the line. So instead of overloading us with films, as I tend to do, even though tonight is still kind of overloaded.
We're doing 20 films. You don't think that's
overloaded? 20 films, yeah.
We capped it off at a nice, subtle 75.
Well, we don't have to go. We don't have to go into an analysis of these pictures. It's analysis. It's just more like a guessing game kind of thing. So I broke it down into 4 categories. Each category has 5 movies. I'm going to have Mike and Kevin take turns choosing a category, and then I'm going to give them a chance to try to guess the film that I'm going to be describing for them. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the film, and I'm going to tell you what its budget was and what it ultimately made in the box office that year that it was released, and see if you can guess it. So my 4 categories are surprise hits that still hold up today. So these are movies that made more money than expected, but still have popularity in the film community in present. Surprise hits that overshadowed other films. These are movies that came out in a year where other movies were supposed to be big hits, but this little engine that could overtook them somehow in the box office. And for that one, I will give you some of the movies that were beaten by that film. The third category is surprise hits that no one talks about anymore. So movies that made a shit ton of money at the box office, but have kind of disappeared over the years. So you can guess that most of these movies are going to be a little bit older. And the final category is a little end around here. It's movies that were supposed to be hits, but actually bombed at the box office, but are now considered classics anyway.
Also known as Shawshank Redemption.
Mike believes that Shawshank Redemption is going to be on this list because he thinks I am that transparent. Because I talk about Shawshank all the time. For those of you new to the show, it is my favorite movie of all time. I watch it at least, I don't know, once a day. So, it might be on that list. I don't know. Star Wars is a movie I could have thrown on this list. Who's to say? Star Wars is a movie I could have thrown on this list somewhere, but I decided that was way too obvious as well. As being one of the biggest movies of all time. So we have 4 categories.
Is Mac and Me on this list?
Mac and Me is not on this list. I'm sorry.
Damn.
I forgot to put it on there. So I'm going to flip a coin here. Or I'll pretend to flip a coin. Mike, you're going to go first. Kevin, well, the last time we played
wins a coin toss.
No, last time we played a game like this, I think Kevin went first. And Mike felt that Kevin had an advantage that way. So Mike, you get to go first tonight. So what category would you like? Still holds up today, overshadowed other films, hit but forgotten, or should have been a hit but is now a classic?
I'm going to go with holds up today.
Holds up today. Would you like number 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5?
Give me for 200 there, Alex.
Do you want the first one?
Yeah, number 1.
The first movie had a budget of $33 million. It came out in 1995.
Ooh.
And made a surprising amount of money worldwide. Its final gross was $327 million. It is an early film for a very important director. It is a film that had originally was supposed to star Denzel Washington, but he turned it down and then was upset that he turned it down later on.
Well, shit.
A movie we have talked about numerous times. We actually mentioned that trivia fact about that movie before.
Yes, and now I'm drawing a fucking blank.
Would you like one more? More hint? I talked about this director already in this episode.
This would be 7.
This would be 7. 7 came out in 1995. It is, I believe, it was either the second or third film from Fincher. He was coming off Alien 3, which was a disaster of a film. Not his fault. A lot of studio involvement. But he was given the helm for this film, and given a surprisingly large budget considering the bomb that was Alien 3 with $33 million. He made the most of it with a young Brad Pitt, an up and coming, basically, popular at the time now, Morgan Freeman. R. Lee Ermey was in this film as well. Kevin Spacey, who was uncredited in the film because they wanted it to be a surprise that he was John Doe. Really dark film. Gwyneth Paltrow as
Paltrow. She played Emma.
She played the head in the box. And
What's in the box?
In the box.
Head in the box.
It's a movie with a lot of disturbing imagery. Very dark film, but I think it is that word of mouth about what the film is about that really got it sold to people.
Yeah,
because it started out kind of slow. By the end of its run,
I did a movie review on this for my high school newspaper.
I believe you told us this story before.
Yes, did.
But we have
listen to it again. It was 1995. I wasn't being paid anything, but I got to go see movies for a purpose. Kids back then, they didn't know what movies were. We just
they still know what movies are.
Ask your film classes if they know what movies are there, Kev.
Kev's film class we have here, they watch TikTok videos.
You guys watch streaming services? No. What do you watch? No. YouTube, TikTok.
YouTube. All right, so that's the first one down. That was 7. Mike, good job. You guessed that one right. So, Kev, man, you get the next category.
Okay.
So, would you like the same one, or would you like one of the other 3?
Oh, you're under the impression I was paying attention before.
I'm never under that impression. I know you're just there to be pretty, so if we need me to slow it down for you, I will.
Let's do surprise hits that no one. Let's do surprise hits that no one talks about anymore.
Surprise hits that no one talks about anymore. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5.
1.
Number 1. Everybody's just making it easy on me here. This movie.
Confused.
Let's see. I think I'm going to do the year first for this one.
Okay.
This movie came out in 1999.
Mac and me.
Right at the cusp of the end of the 20th century. Here you go. Ready? This is so fucking crazy. This film had a $60,000 budget. Went on to make $277 million worldwide.
Was it all put on credit cards?
It is not Clerks. Clerks was $30,000, and that came out in '97. I did not put that one on the list. This one's not in the game. Because Clerks did not make that much money in the box office, so it really wouldn't fit this category.
Its popularity came afterwards.
Yeah, this is a rarity. It's a rarity for an indie film like this to make that much money.
99 indie film.
I'll give you another hint.
Say?
Yeah. Because this is so early in the life of the internet, we didn't have people online spoiling it for us yet. So there were many people out there who thought that this film was a real documentary.
Okay. Yeah, the Blair Witch Project.
It is the Blair Witch Project. I put this on a list of forgotten films because I feel like people don't really talk about this one much anymore. It was the progenitor of all these found footage films.
Yeah.
Paranormal Activity and the like.
Oh man, it had a great viral campaign too.
It did have a really good viral campaign. It was the VHS tape that were like passed around, and and I could see why people would think it was real.
The actors were kept hidden until well after the movie came out.
Yeah, the downside of that was that their careers never took off after this because people thought they were dead.
True. Aren't you that dead girl from the Blair Witch Project?
I was never a big fan of Blair Witch. I didn't think it was as scary as most people thought it was. I thought it was sillier.
I thought it was. Initially I thought it was good because it's playing on your fear of what could be happening. But the more you watch it, it loses its luster.
Well, I think now because there's so many, these found footage films nowadays anyway that kind of got overshadowed. So, Mike, you're up now.
Okay.
Would you? Which category would you like?
I'm going to go with movies that should have been hits but are now classics.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Number 1.
Did I just go in order because you guys aren't going to like me mix it up one day? This film came out in, hold on, let me get the date for you here. I should have wrote the dates down. It's one of the few things I forgot to do. 1997, this film came out, another 90s film. It is the first film from this director. His name is Paul Thomas Anderson. The film had a $15 million budget, but only made $26 million in the box office, but is now considered a dramatic classic and is known for a very controversial scene involving a big fake dick.
Are we looking at
Are you looking at a big fake dick?
You need another hint?
Oh no! The movie I'm thinking about, I think, came out later than this one.
What are you thinking of?
Magic Mike.
No,
I don't think that's it.
No.
That
was a fucking monster hit.
But it had a big dick in it.
I'm gonna give Mike one more hint, and then Kevin can try to steal it here. The film is one of the best performances from the star of the film. The star of the film was Mark Wahlberg. Come on, Mark Wahlberg, big fake dick. No, don't got it.
I probably didn't see it.
Kev, you got it?
Boogie Nights.
Boogie Nights. It's a film about the porn industry.
Also featuring one of my favorite actresses, Heather Graham.
Yes. He says sarcastically. I love Boogie Nights. It is a really good movie. It is a classic at this point, I think. It's one of Mark Wahlberg's better performances. Burt Reynolds is fucking amazing in the film. Julianne Moore is amazing in the film.
Wasn't he nominated for an award for that?
He was nominated for supporting actor. I remember that Oscars because they cut to him in a crowd and he looked like he was going to murder someone. Because he had won all the other awards prior to that. I just think the Academy is stuck up and they don't want to give it to a movie about porn.
So I'm seeing here, it says, after seeing a rough cut of the film, Burt Reynolds regretted making it. He fired his agent for recommending the role to him and did not participate in promotional interviews. Reynolds ends up winning a Golden Globe for the role and being nominated for the Academy Award for his performance. Despite being a frontrunner for the latter, it was widely rumored that he did not win because he had distanced himself from the movie earlier.
See, it's all about politics and who you know.
Yeah.
Who you know, who you blow.
So, Kev, you're up again.
All right. I'll take the penis mightier for 500.
That's the pennies, Mr. Connery. I'll shake 8 titties for 400. It's appetite, Mr. Connery.
Button covers. Anal button covers. I'll take surprise hits that overshadowed other films for 5.
So you're going to take number 5?
Yeah, I'll mix it up.
All right.
Quit your belly aching.
So I'm going to give you the year this movie came out, which was 1997.
Okay. Ooh, we're on the 97 kick.
Yeah, it was number one at the box office that year. It had a $200 million budget and went on to make $1.8 billion.
Billion dollars.
It overshadowed these other films that came out that year. Men in Black, Lost World, Jurassic Park, Air Force One, As Good as It Gets, Good Will Hunting, My Best Friend's Wedding, Face Off, and the re-release of Star Wars: A New Hope were all overshadowed by this film. Now, I feel like the budget and the money that it made was probably a really big hint. And that it came out in 99.
97.
Or 97, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're trying to fuck me up on purpose so that we get tied to it. I see how it is. Wasn't Mac and Me, was it?
No matter how many times you guess it tonight, it's not going to be right.
Big budget. 97. Overshadowed Lost World.
Just think, man, one of the biggest movies of the 90s.
Yeah.
Still a big movie. Not a film that is able to have a sequel. No sequel available for this film.
I think I'm going to need at least a hint to the plot.
God damn
If that's an option. If it's not an option, you can throw out a big fake dick or an actor or something at me.
Let's see. Yeah, if I throw out the plot, that'll really give it away.
Yeah.
Some
of the actors.
Even the actors will really give it away. Let me see. What can I say that's not too much of a giveaway here? The captain should have wore his brown pants that day.
Was it Titanic?
It is Titanic.
There was room in that goddamn door.
Good hint. Good hint.
God, I knew that. I knew that one before the hint. God damn it.
That wasn't even a hint. I was just fucking around, but I knew Kevin would probably take it as a hint anyway.
When in 97, and I'm like, wait a second, I went out on a date to see that movie, and my arm got sins and needles because I put it behind her like only an hour into the movie, not realizing 3 hours later,
I went on a date to that movie with the woman I'm married to. That's how long we've been together. I just think it's crazy to look at the fact that it had a $200 million fucking budget.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the 90s, a film getting a $200 million budget.
That was just the actors in it.
Fucking, he had a whole
Billy Zane has a big price tag.
Yeah, Billy Zane. Yeah, he had a lot of money for that toupee he was wearing. It was he had a whole fucking sound studio filled with water. Like
Kathy Bates cost that kind of money.
Yeah. It's a $1.8 billion that it made. That's crazy. I thought of giving that as a hint, but I thought that was too easy too. I was going to be like, well, my heart still goes on. So, Mike, you're up again.
Okay, so I'm going to go with.
I should have did this as a Jeopardy game.
Oh man, you could have done like double Jeopardy and the
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. We had fun with that. I also don't have that much time in my day though either to put together a Jeopardy game.
You got plenty of time.
Yeah.
Surprise hits that no one talks about anymore for 4
films that no one talks about anymore. For 4. This film came out in. Really should have put these dates down when I first did this, but I didn't think of that. This film also came out in 1999.
97.
1999, rather. Well, the Blair Witch came out in 99 as well. This film came out in 1999, had a $40 million budget, which is a surprising budget given that this was the first film for this director ever. but the movie went on to make $676 million worldwide. The director was nominated for an Oscar. The film was nominated for Best Picture. Its young star became one of the youngest actors ever nominated for Best Supporting Actor. It spawned numerous quotes that are still said today. And the final hint I'll give you is it took place in Philadelphia.
Sixth Sense.
The Sixth Sense. Yes, sir. Sixth Sense. $40 million budget for a guy who's it's his first film. Like that's pretty crazy. Not that Shyamalan has really proven that he's a withstanding force over the years, but
he's had strikes and he's had hits.
He's had a lot more hits lately than he's had strikes, but it's just so crazy. But the $676 million worldwide.
Yeah.
And a lot of it had to do with that amazing twist ending and amazing performance from Bruce Willis in the film. And I think, in my estimation, this is a forgotten film. It probably wouldn't be if Shyamalan's career had went a better direction. Like if it was more stable throughout his career, I feel like this is a film we'd still be like talking about all the time.
Well,
I'd say if you say his name, that's the first movie that comes to your mind, though.
Yeah.
Well, for people like us who know the movies.
I also think the movie, you have to watch it at least twice to get everything that you missed the first time. But after that, it's like, why watch it a third time?
Yeah. Now, I also think like a lot of people who saw Split in the theater, when Bruce Willis shows up at the end, nobody had a lot of people didn't have a clue what that was about. It was only like people like us who saw The Sixth Sense, who saw Unbreakable, who realized that it went back to some of his early films. So that's a good one there. Sixth Sense. Good job. So let's see, Kev, what do you want next?
Third. Movies that should have been tits but are now classic.
Okay. 4.
4.
2, 3, 4, or 5. Which number?
I told you already. 4.
4?
4.
This movie had a $3 million budget, which was a lot considering the year that this film came out.
Which you didn't say yet.
But it only made $4 million in the box office. This film came out in 1939. It's one of the first films to use Technicolor.
Is it The Wizard of Oz?
It is The Wizard of Oz. When you think about a movie that came out in 1939 that they still show on TV every year, that to me is the definition of a classic. It's a film we're still watching in 2023.
Absolutely.
To realize that it was a bomb at the box office, the music alone, to realize it was a bomb at the box office is amazing.
Yeah,
I had no idea. I mean, $4 million for 1939 is a lot of money.
Well, there was a war starting.
Yeah, but it was also like it only made $1 million profit off of its original budget. So that's kind of crazy. But yeah, The Wizard of Oz was a box office bomb, but is now considered a classic. And if you've never seen The Wizard of Oz, you were probably born in this millennium somewhere. So, Mike, what's your next one?
I'm gonna go with hits that hold up today for 5.
Still holds up today for 5. Yeah, so I wish I did do Jeopardy. So this movie came out in 1975. It was the Best Picture winner in 1976, surprising a lot of people. Nobody expected this movie to be a Best Picture nominee. It is the first film to star this actor, who would go on to become a staple of films throughout the 70s, 80s, and 90s. It had a $1 million budget, but made $177 million in the box office. It's also a Philadelphia film. Kev knows.
Kev knows. Rocky.
Yeah.
Adrian! Mike is burping in the microphone. Adrian.
Rocky. Sylvester Stallone was pretty much broke when he finally sold the script for this film. Insisted on starring in it, which the studio did not want because he was not a well-known actor or writer or anything at the time. Insisted on starring in it. They filmed it with him as the star. It made a ton of money at the box office. Won Best Picture, which surprised a lot of people that year because the 70s was full of a lot of like classic films, so it wasn't really expected to be that kind of a movie. And then went on to spawn 87 sequels.
Of course, it holds up today. They play the song before every Eagles game.
Well, yeah, I mean we're Eagles fans. Kevin and I grew up in Philadelphia. Mike lives in Philadelphia. Like it's Rocky.
There is actually a Rocky Day declared December 3rd is Rocky Day in Philadelphia.
That's Sunday.
My wife's name is Adrian, and she went to the same high school that he did. So he did not graduate from Lincoln.
No.
They have a Santa hat on the Rocky statue right now.
Which, my God, was everybody up in arms when they moved that originally.
Yeah. So we have done. So Kev, you're next.
Let's see. I did that one. What numbers are available and no one talks about it anymore?
2, 3, and 5.
Give me 3 on that one.
All right, this is a good one. Oh my God, I got the perfect hint for this one.
Ooh.
I got a personal hint for this one for Kev. So let me just get the year for you first. This movie came out in 2004.
Close enough.
The budget was $400,000 and will go on domestically to make $49 million, which is a hell of an increase from the budget.
Yeah.
It is a highly quotable film. It is a very quirky film. And your brother-in-law did the dance at Mary Kate's wedding.
Oh, dear God. Tina, come out and eat your dinner. Napoleon Dynamite.
Have you seen the memes about the new Napoleon not having Napoleon Dynamite in it?
The Ridley Scott film with Joaquin Phoenix, yeah. a lot of people went to the theater thinking it was a sequel.
He does the dance, though.
Yeah,
he does the dance. Joaquin really got the dance down.
A lot of people went to the theater thinking it was a sequel. They're like, "Where's Pedro?"
Because it's a French guy.
Oh God. I saw a lot of memes about Uncle Rico when Aaron Rodgers got hurt.
Yes. Oh, he should be back by after Christmas.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. Yeah.
Why? Because they ain't going anywhere.
Yeah. Napoleon Dynamite, $400,000 budget, $49 million. So the only category that we only have one pick for so far is the overshadowed by other films. We have multiple picks in the other categories so far.
I'll go to overshadowed by other films.
Okay, would you like 1, 2, 3, or 4?
I'll take 2.
2. This movie came out in, I want to say this was another 90s film, but I got to get the exact date here. This movie came out in 1991.
Oof.
Had a $48 million budget, which is a lot of money for 91. Went on to make $391 million worldwide. Has a song from the soundtrack that was everywhere the year this film came out. And Michael, this is the movie that inspired this game tonight.
Oh, shit. 91 musical?
No, it's not a musical. I'm just saying the theme song from this movie was played all the time. Fuck me, they made it.
Oh, God.
Come on, you know this. You say that quote all the time.
It's Armageddon.
No.
Oh. Fuck.
No. You made your guess. It's my turn. It's my turn.
No. You keep guessing the same damn movie every time. So
Back at me.
no, it was Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Yes, this is the movie that inspired this game.
This fucking movie. Yeah.
The soundtrack was everywhere. That Bryan Adams song. It's Kevin Costner at the height of his Kevin Costner
songs. He had a
Who
whole
owned the
album
single? We all owned the single.
I owned a single, yes, and it's Morgan Freeman again making his '90s run.
Damn English Oak.
Yeah, damn English Oak. You have the Alan Rickman in a movie-stealing performance, chewing up scenery. He had to go on a diet after this film. He ate so much scenery. I love Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. I also like Robin Hood, Men in Tights as well.
It was the second Robin Hood movie to come out in 1991.
Yeah, the other one was it Robin and Marian or something like that? It was
no, it was called Robin Hood. It
was called Robin
starred
Sean Connery,
Patrick Bergen, Uma Thurman.
I think it was a TV film.
Was it though?
I think it might have been a TV film. I remember that there was 2 Robin Hoods that year. Yeah, yeah, and it was funny because in the '80s, Sean Connery did star in a Robin Hood movie, and then he makes a return in this film as King Richard. Good to be the king. So that was.
I think I shall call them Sean. No, that's another Robin Hood movie.
You could be Fair House.
So we've gotten through a few in each. I'm just gonna start going through these now because we're an hour and 15 minutes into this, and I don't want this episode to go 3 hours. So,
well, you don't want to have 20.
Yeah, I'm the one to edit this shit. I'm gonna be away all weekend too. I'm going to my sister-in-law's all weekend, so it's like I don't think I have a lot of time here. Let's go back to Still Holds Up today. The second film on the list had a $7 million budget, but made $477 million total. Came out in 1972. It's an early film for an iconic director. There were a lot of production problems with this film because it's really difficult to film on the water.
Jaws.
$477 million. Still holds up today. Next film on the Still Holds Up Today list. This one came out in the 90s as well. Had an $11 million budget. Ended up making $64 million at the box office. A very highly quotable film. Starring a man who is an unlikely leading man. But man, is it a funny film. The actress in the film won Best Supporting Actress that year, surprisingly. Would you like a quote from the film?
Yes, please.
The Two Utes.
Oh, that's my cousin Vinny.
My cousin Vinny. That was a surprise.
My cousin Vinny.
That's what's like Joe Pesci, unlikely leading man.
What is a Ute?
What is a Ute? Excuse me, Your Honor. The Two Utes. My favorite line in that film is he walks up to the jury and he goes, "Everything that the prosecutor just said is bullshit." Next one is probably the most recent movie on my list here. Had a $4.5 million budget, made $277 million worldwide, redefined a horror genre, and won an Oscar for its screenwriter, who was best known as a comedian before this film came out.
Saw?
No.
What year did it come out?
Not too long ago. So let me see here.
Oh,
it came out in 2017.
Oh, Get Out.
Get Out by Jordan Peele. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very much a surprise hit. All right, so back to overshadowed other films. This movie had an $18 million budget, made $476 million worldwide, and overshadowed these films that year. Hold on. Let me get the year for you. This movie came out in 1990. It was the #1 film that year, beating out Ghost, Dances with Wolves, Pretty Woman, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Hunt for Red October, Total Recall, Die Hard 2, Dick Tracy, Kindergarten Cop, Days of Thunder, and a whole host of other films. Goodfellas, Godfather Part 3, Back to the Future Part 3, all came out this year. This movie blew them all out of the water. It was written by John Hughes, but directed by Chris Columbus.
Home Alone?
Home Alone was the box office giant that year.
Wow.
$476 million worldwide. Another film that overshadowed other films the year it came out. This movie came out in 2008, had a $52 million budget, and made a whopping $609 million at the box office that year. It is a musical. This musical overshadowed Quantum of Solace, Iron Man, Wall-E, not La La Land. That came out a little later. Good guess, though. Sex and the City was out that year. That got overshadowed. The first Twilight film, Slumdog Millionaire, Benjamin Button, all came out this year. The only films that beat this movie at the box office were Kung Fu Panda, Indiana Jones and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and The Dark Knight. This
Moulin Rouge?
This movie musical, based on the songs of a popular 70s disco pop band.
Oh, Mamma Mia.
Mamma Mia, here we go again, my mind. Nobody could resist that film in the box office that year, apparently.
I did.
I did as well. The next film, Kev, so I had a personal hint for Napoleon Dynamite for you. I have a personal hint for Mike for this one. This film came out in 2016. It had a budget of $58 million, but ended up making $782 million worldwide, which is an enormous amount of money. It lost that year to Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, Finding Dory, Captain America, the first one, The Jungle Book, etc. But it beat out Zootopia. It beat out Dawn of Justice. It beat out the first Suicide Squad film, Sting, Moana, Fantastic Beasts, Doctor Strange, Hidden Figures, Jason Bourne, Star Trek Beyond, and X-Men Apocalypse were all destroyed by this film that Adrian still can't watch because of the sex montage, including the Thanksgiving dinner.
Love Actually.
No, not Love Actually. Come on, it's a comic book film.
Oh,
I love my calendar girl.
Okay, yes. Deadpool. You say sex scene.
The sex montage.
The sex montage. The calendar girl sex montage. Yeah, Adrian can't watch it.
I thought you were going to say The Color of Night.
Well, the sex scene at the beginning of Love Actually is where she stops there too.
Yeah.
Or,
you can watch Love Actually without those scenes, and the movie still holds. So.
Is it the sex scene, or is it they're the two porn stars?
Yeah,
right?
it's the stand-ins for the porn
Bilbo
stars.
back and bang somebody, you know.
Let me see what else we got here. So that's the end of that one. So we're under films that were surprise hits, but nobody really talks about anymore. I have two left on that list. The first one had a $5 million budget, but made $369 million worldwide. It actually, I just found this out recently. I did not know this. It is part of a trilogy. I was like, you got to be fucking shitting me. This movie came out in 2002. I don't even know how to give hints on this film, other than I can't believe that there's two more films after this one. A cultural phenomenon involving Greek families.
Oh, My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Big Fat Greek Wedding had two sequels. My Big Fat Greek Wedding
I think
2. And My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
They have
3.
one now. There's one existing, and there's one that's coming out very soon, or it just came out. Yeah.
I think there's like a series coming out now. So it's my
They
Big
already
Fat.
did the series.
Yeah,
there was a series on TV after the hit of the first one.
I fucking don't know. I didn't even know there was a sequel to the film. So that was that one. The other one is, I don't think either of you guys are going to get this one.
All right.
This is a
Oh,
film.
ye of little faith.
This is not only a film that doesn't get talked about anymore, but it's a film
Never
that
got watched.
probably shouldn't have been made in the first place and would never be made nowadays. Came out in 2007. The film had a $85 million budget, which I can't friggin' believe, and made $187 million. It stars Mike's favorite actor, Adam Sandler, and his best friend, Kevin James, as well as Jessica Biel, Ving Rhames, Steve Buscemi, and Dan Aykroyd. That's the thing. It's an Adam Sandler film, so it could be anything.
Yeah, you threw me with Jessica Biel.
Mm-hmm. Two straight single Brooklyn firefighters pretend to be a gay couple.
Chuck and Larry.
Yeah, I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry. Surprise!
You knew I wasn't going to get it. You know I didn't see it.
I don't think I watched that any more than once, maybe, and I completely blocked out Jessica Biel.
So we got she's like the person investigating them to see if they're really like a gay couple or whatever.
She's got better standards than to be in an Adam Sandler movie, though.
The last category, these should have been hits, but are now considered classics, even though they bombed at the box office. We have 3 left on that list. The first one had a $15 million budget. Came out in I want to say 1980, but let me get the exact date for you.
It's not Shawshank then.
It came out in 1982. I'm sorry, 1982. $15 million budget, $19 million return. Now considered just a classic, not even just like a cult classic. It's a horror film. Some of the best practical effects ever made, and is directed by one of my favorite directors of all time, John Carpenter.
They Live?
No, that was a little later on. They Live actually was number 1 at the box office when it opened.
Was it The Thing?
It was The Thing. The Thing was a major league bomb when it came out, but is now considered like one of the all-time horror films. The next one, this is a Michael one. This film had a $16 million budget, only made $13 million at the box office, so it actually took a loss, but is now considered a classic, especially with its amazing soundtrack, completely written and produced by Queen.
Oh,
Highlander. I was like, I wanted to say we talked about it earlier, but I don't want to make it like too easy. Highlander is, considered a classic, and I believe there's a remake in development right now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 2 and 3 sucked. So,
well, I'm not talking about the sequels. There was actually 4. There was actually a 4th one.
Was there a 4th?
Yeah, there was a 4th one that had the actor from the Highlander TV series in it. I think there's a reboot in the works right now. I read something about it the other day, but I can't remember who the actor was. Henry Cavill is making a reboot. Yeah, of the Highlander films. And the last one on my should have been a hit, but wasn't a hit, but is now considered a classic. This film came out in. Oh, right, give me a minute. This film came
Mac
out.
and Me.
It's not Mac and Me. This film came out in 1994. It had a $25 million budget. Only made $28 million domestically. Was nominated for an Oscar for Best Picture that year, but lost to the movie that never should have won in the first place, Forrest Gump. Michael?
Shawshank.
It is the Shawshank Redemption.
I told you it was on there.
If it's the first time we're playing this game, I'm going to put it on there. So, Mike, you have any beer history or beer trivia for us this evening?
I got some beer history for you boys. Elizabeth I, Queen of England and Ireland, from November 17th, 1558, until her death on March 24th, 1603, was fond of drinking strong ale at breakfast.
Nice. That's why she ruled for so long.
That's right.
She was well preserved. Speaking of well preserved and pickled, how are our drinks this evening?
Excellent.
Sweet and satisfying.
Empty.
I know, Mike.
I forgot how sweet this was.
I've had the drink that Mike's had before. I know that's pretty good. How was the first beer you had, Kev?
It was good. It was good. It was an oatmeal stout. It had it was more coffee than chocolate, but I always find that the coffee flavor pops out a little bit more than the chocolate flavor. It's very good.
I finished my Stewart's Black Cherry Spiked Soda. I feel like I shouldn't be coughing much anymore since it tastes so much like Robitussin. But that was done. Hey, thank you for joining us, everybody, for episode 130. Surprise Hits, a.k.a. that film made how much money? This is, of course, our premiere episode, as I said, for the Deluxe Edition Network, The Den. Thank you again for letting us join the network. We hope you enjoyed listening to this podcast as much as we enjoyed recording it for you. Don't forget, you can drop us an email at filmsandfermentation@gmail.com or visit linktree.com/filmsandfermentation to find all of our social media and podcast links. We are now on TikTok. I will be posting some clips from this episode in anticipation of its release on TikTok. You can support us by going to patreon.com and donating to the show or buying our merch at teespring.com. Mike and I are both sporting some Films and Fermentation t-shirts today.
I'm still wearing my work shirt.
So
Kev didn't read the memo.
I didn't read the memo.
Or you can go to deluxeeditionnetwork.com to see more information about our podcast and the other podcasts on the network. Don't forget to stop by the crossroads between Pickled and Fermented next time around for episode 131. Episode 131, we're getting meta as shit as we talk about movies about movies.
Movies.
I'm Leo.
Movies. I'm Kevin.
I'm Mike.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Jane wants a camo print purse.
No, she does not.
Mike said Adrian would like a new job that she likes.
Your shit.
And then Kevin said, get her a camo print purse.
Mm.
Mike went, no.
Oh, man. I was so distracted I came up without beer. I'm going to need to get my beer wench to get me some. Oh, beer wench! I came hither without the beers. Can you bring me something burly?
What?